Hello and welcome back to part 2 of 2-point perspective video tutorial brought to you by thevirtualinstructor.com. We've drawn basically a cube in video 1. Now I'm going to add a couple of roads. I'm going to make this look a little bit more like a cityscape. I'm going to do it quickly, and if you're working along with me at home, then you can add all the windows and doors that you'd like. Right now I'm just going to add 2 roads and create an intersection where those roads come together. And you'll notice that I'm going to each one of the vanishing points, and where they cross over, well, that's where your intersection is going to be. I'm going to go over my lines a little bit darker so it's a little easier for you to see what I've drawn. Pretty much with 2-point perspective, you're going to either one vanishing point or the other unless your lines are vertical lines. And you can see we've got vertical lines on the building. When we do windows in just a moment, you'll see some more vertical lines used for the windows. But for these roads, you're going to go to one vanishing point or the other. And there you go. Now we've got a nice little intersection happening here. Next thing I'm going to do is show you how you do windows. Now if your windows are on the right side of the original corner that we drew, then it's going to go to the vanishing point on the right side of your picture plane. So I'm drawing lines of perspective that are going back towards that vanishing point on that side, and I'm just kind of creating a framework for where my windows will be. I'm doing this quickly again. And I could work my way all the way down the building, but I think that's enough. Now I'll go back and I'll put vertical lines to indicate where the windows end. By doing this, I'm ensuring that I'm creating the windows properly in 2-point perspective so that it will really give me the illusion of space that I want. I'm going to go back in and color them with a little bit of a darker value so that you can see them a little bit better. Now if I were to create windows on the other side, I'd do the same thing, but since it's on the left side of the original corner, I'm going to go to the left vanishing point in the picture plane. And I'm not going to bring those lines all the way to the vanishing point because I think you get the idea that those lines go to that vanishing point. And then I'll just put my vertical lines in there. And then there's my windows, so I'll put a little bit of darker value there so you can see it a little bit better. Pretty nice generic looking windows. Now if I wanted to put a building behind the original building, I can do that. Remember, you draw the corner first. And I don't want to go too far down. I don't want to go below my original line of perspective there. But then I go to that vanishing point, and then I'll go to the opposite vanishing point, just like this. And now I'll just figure out where the building ends and put a couple vertical lines in there. There's one. There's the other. And to help you better see where the building is, I'll go over those lines a little darker. And there's our second building, and we could add as many buildings as we wanted to behind that original building. Just to help you out a little bit, I'm going to draw a couple of quick windows in there so you get the idea of what they would look like. And especially when you're working with perspective, sometimes you have to force yourself to do what you know is right. In this case, those lines are going to be very slanted, very diagonal, but they make sense for the perspective. So we'll put our vertical lines in there to show where our windows end. And then we've got some nicely drawn windows in 2-point perspective. Alright, now let's say you wanted to put a building on this side of the vanishing point. Well, theoretically you start with the corner of the building. Now it wouldn't make sense to go to both vanishing points. Instead, it would make sense to go to the opposite vanishing point. So I'm going to go to the opposite vanishing point and just draw one side of that building, and this is kind of what that building would look like in two-point perspective. Now you wouldn't see the vanishing point and those lines of perspective back there because they would be behind the building, unless of course your building was transparent, which I haven't really seen that many transparent buildings before, so we'll erase that out. And of course, if we wanted to put windows on this building, they would still go to that vanishing point way on the other side of the paper. And there you have it. That's where the windows would go. I hope you've enjoyed part 2 of 2-point perspective. I hope you'll join us for part 3 of 2-point perspective here on thevirtualinstructor.com.